श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। So what one needs to grow into is either a relatively grown-up person who is still identified with this body-mind-sense complex, or to grow into, in terms of knowledge alone, to recognize that I happen to be the only reality which is timeless, which is causeless, which is the truth of all that appears here. Two things. And both these growths require my initiative. They don't happen like we grow up to be an adult biologically. It's not automatic. It's not just going to happen in time. It requires a certain deliberate desire on my part to grow. It requires an awareness on my part to grow. It needs me to choose to grow. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. Listening to Vedanta classes is good, but that in itself may not cause the growth unless it triggers the right thinking. Because many a time the listening is done like we listen to anything else. There's a big difference between listening to Vedanta and listening to anything else. What's the difference? When you learn chemistry, you don't become a chemical. Okay? When you learn geology, you don't become a rock. But when you study Vedanta, you who came to study Vedanta will vanish ultimately. Vanish means not vanish. Vanish in terms of the reality status you assign to this entity. So there is a knower to start with. There is something to be known. But when the process is complete, there is only one whole. There is no knower, there is no known, there is no knowing. If somebody says, I know Brahman, he doesn't know Brahman. If he says, I know it as another entity. This is how Kenopanishad will say. So we need to appreciate. And if there is only one reality, vision, this is the vision, right? If there is only one reality for the whole universe, then is the universe as real as the reality or not? Is there anything divorced from that reality, anything separate from that reality? There are two ways we can say. One, I can say everything is real. This is the way of talking, okay? Everything is real because there is only one reality and there is nothing but that. Or one can say, look, there is a reality and everything else is an appearance in that reality. Both Both are okay. So why are we interested in realities? I have been presenting it so far purely from the reality perspective. I have not used really the word God or Ishvara. But that is a very important word. There is no bypassing of Ishvara. So we have to now introduce what Ishvara means. Not purely as a reality, but as something more than that. Anything we want to learn, where do you start from? If you want to teach someone something, where do you start from? You have to start from what that person knows. You can't start with something which is unknown. Won't understand anything. You have to start with what is known and take the person to what is to be known. And that knowledge takes place as a miracle. Really, if you think about it, how do you come to know anything as a miracle? The possibility exists and somehow it happens. So what is my current reality? What is the reality that as I see it today? Forget what you read. What is the reality we see? I am there? Real? There is a world which is other than me? Real? As far as I know. Is there anything else? There is nothing else. Okay. Now I also happen to know that nothing that I see is without a cause. Nothing I see is without a cause. You see something doesn't mean what is not seen doesn't exist. You see a tree. See so many trees. Do you see the root? Do you see the root at all? Any tree's root do you see when you stand out? You see a tree. But do you ever have a doubt that it has a root? This is used by the Upanishad Shastra. Urdhvamulam adhashakam ashvatham prahuravyayam chandamsi yasya parnani yastam veda sa vedavit. Who is the one who knows the tree? If you know there is a stem, there is a trunk, there are 5 branches, there are 10 leaves and whatever, you don't know the tree fully. When do you know the tree fully? When you know the tree along with its root. That much is the example. You have to know anything. When do you know anything fully? When you know anything along with its cause. All right? Did you create the world? World means whatever you see. Did you create it? Did your grandfather create it? Did our great-great-great-grandfathers create it? Did anybody create the world? Anybody you know or could have known could have created the world? Not possible, because we all live in this world. What does it take for one tiny plant to survive? What does it take? It takes the sun. Not just some water and some earth. It takes the sun. So whoever created the plant should know the dependency on the sun. You couldn't have created a plant and then decided on the 7th day you'll put the sun. You understand? 6 days there was no sun. Whole world is created. 7th day you place the sun in the sky. Someone thinks like that. It's not meant to be taken literally as far as I can understand. But I'm saying the sun and life on earth at least go together. They go together. You cannot have one fellow putting life and one fellow creating the sun. Who created the sun? Who created the earth? There must be a cause. There cannot be anything without a cause. This is logic. This is our logic, extension of logic. See, normally anumanam is what? You should see A, you should see B, and therefore A and B are always concomitant, therefore you can draw an inference. Like whenever I see smoke, whenever I see a smoking cup of tea, steaming cup of tea, I have found it to be hot. Change the example so you know there is more anumana, okay? Whenever I see a steaming cup of tea, I know the tea is piping hot. How do I know that? Because I have seen a steaming cup of tea, drunk it, touched it, and know every time it's hot. Therefore, I have made a conclusion that steam and heat are correlated. But to make this kind of a conclusion about Jagat Srishti is not possible. Therefore, it's only an extension in a way of logic. Logic is not the way, there is no way you can talk about Jagat Srishti. Jagat is the world. Srishti means creation. You cannot talk of Jagat Srishti unless you were there when Srishti happened. Who was there here to see the Srishti happening? Nobody was there. Therefore, what is the means of knowledge to talk about the cause for the world? The world means universe here. What's the source of knowledge? What's the means of knowledge? Can't be your perception. Can't be inference. Then what is the means of knowledge? You have only one means remaining. Shabda. Okay? Why should I accept Shabda? There are people who come up with that argument. Why should I accept Veda as a pramana? It's your choice. But you have no means to talk about the universe's creation. No, there are scientists who have the theories of creation. They don't have laws, they only have theories. And a theory is still being improved upon. Nobody can be definitive about a theory because it's all inferences. You look at some source of light 12 billion light years away, and now you say by looking at that you know how the Srishti of the sun may have happened, etc. It's fine. I mean, theoretical physics can give you a lot of things. But all I'm saying, it's still theoretical. Shabda pramana means it is telling you this is how it happened. If you can poke a hole in what it's saying, let's see you poke a hole. If you can't poke a hole, you can't disprove it. What do you gain by saying it is not so? When Shabda pramana says something and you have nothing to counter it, what do you gain by opposing it? Do you gain anything by opposing it? No. Therefore, we start with Shabda Pramana with some Shraddha. What does Shraddha mean? A belief for the time being. It's not a blind belief, it's a belief which will be held by reason. You may not see the reason immediately, but you give the benefit of doubt to the Shastra. This is the approach. We are not saying you blindly accept. Give the benefit of it, which means what? When you are in doubt, my thinking is like this. Shastra says that, which is right? You say, Shastra must be right, pending my understanding. This attitude is called Shraddha. So it's not faith. Faith is what? Faith means if I tell you so, you have to believe it. You should believe what? There is only one God and He lives in heaven. You should believe. And He is formless. There is one formless God living in heaven and it's a He. Do you believe it or not? Formless. He or she? He or she? If you say she, somebody will have a fit. We don't accept. It was a He. Father in heaven alone, not mother. Is it believable? If you find a statement like that in the Veda, we say you have to understand it differently. It cannot be literally taken. We don't have such statements in the Veda. So understand, because people say, if Shabda is Pramana, why not other religion scriptures are also Pramanam? Why don't we say everybody's book is as holy as your book? Our holiness is not meant on some, you know, based on some special feature. It is talking of what is. And you have no other means of knowledge to dispute what is. Pramanam means you respect it, because it is pramanantara anadhigatatvam. You cannot know what it tells you by any other means of knowledge, and it cannot be opposed by another means of knowledge, because there is no sphere for another means of knowledge to access it. As I said the other day, I see color with my eyes. You cannot argue about color except with your eyes. Therefore, understand what pramanam means. If you cannot and need not prove one means of knowledge with another means of knowledge. Is this clear? If I say, prove your eyes, how will you prove it? Please prove that your eyes see. How will you prove? Only by seeing. Is there any other way? I will prove that my eyes see using my ears. No, you can't. If Veda is a pramanam, you can't ask me to prove it with inference. Veda is not logical. Please understand. Veda is not scientific. These people have all kinds of notions. Veda is not scientific. Where science says I can't go further, there Veda goes. So it's a completely different understanding. See, modern days, you tell somebody, hey, there is something what you don't understand. They will say no. Science is the only pramanam. Modern kids, no, they're very clear. They don't understand what is being said, and on account of non-understanding, they will just deny what they don't see doesn't exist. But we need to understand. We come with an open mind, right? So the Shabda Pramana is there. So what did I show you? That this world cannot be without a cause. That's an enabling logic, not a proving logic. Because there are people who will say, I will establish Ishvara by logic. We don't buy that. You cannot establish one Ishvara by logic. There can be many. But what we know is this. The creator of a thing, of anything, must have the knowledge and the capacity to create that thing. You look at your dream. What is your dream? Do you see anything in your dream which you don't know in waking at all? You may see a person you didn't see, but people you have seen, faces you have seen, you can create a new face with ease. Have you seen anything in your dream ever which you have never ever seen in waking? So what is your dream? It is your knowledge alone. Your knowledge alone is what manifests as your dream. The whole dream. The sun in the dream, the moon in the dream, the space in the dream, the time in the dream, the people in the dream, their feelings, their insecurities, their joys, their successes, their failures, everything is your knowledge. Do you understand this? So knowledge alone appears as the whole dream creation. So for this Jagat, this universe to be created, what should be there before you create anything? Suppose you want to create a jacket. I take a piece of cloth and say, create a jacket. What do you need? You need to know how you will create. You should know what the jacket is going to look like. What style will it have? Right? If I give you some raw vegetables and I say make something, you better know what you're going to create. Of course, you can put everything together and something will come out. But that is not a deliberate creation. That is an accidental cook. Right? So anything, if you look at anything, really, what is a pot? There is a material. And what else is there? There is knowledge. There is material clay and there is knowledge of what form that clay has to be put in. All right? What's a flower? Whatever its material and the knowledge. What's a leaf? You take anything now. It's material knowledge. Whose knowledge? This is the potter's knowledge. Clay plus potter's knowledge. Material, do you have? Knowledge, do you have? Both of them, where did they come from? They came from somewhere. Now, potter is different from clay. Baker is different from bread. Fortunately. Otherwise, every time you bring a loaf of bread, you will have baker and he comes with his family. And then you bring rice, it comes with the family, farmer's family. You will have a zoo in your home. Doesn't work that way. But, therefore, can you say, the maker and material always are different. Why? Because I see pot is separate from potter, bread is separate from baker, therefore, I have never seen the maker and material being same. Therefore, maker and material are always different. Can you make that logic? You can try. But if I can give you one example where maker and material are same, then your logic has to go. What is your dream? You are the maker, you are the material. So what does Veda Pramana say? It says there is only one cause for the universe. What is the cause? It is abhinna nimitta upadana karanam. Abhinna means non-separate. There is one cause which is both the maker and the material. What does it mean? Which means the object, the pot. Now we are looking at pot as the world, okay? Not just as a pot, the pot stands for the whole world. Okay? So now this pot has same maker and material. Not the potter now. I have gone to the big potter. Okay? The potter who creates this whole Jagat. Jagat is the pot. Then what is the distance of this from its cause? See, normally a thing is never away from its material cause. But it's away from the maker. But when I say the whole Jagat has only one cause, which is maker and material, where will you look? If I say now, get me some clay, where will you look for it? Where will you look for it now? I want some clay. Can you get me some clay? It's right in my hand. Correct? Similarly, if you want now, clay is the material cause. Now if you want Jagat Karanam, the cause of the whole universe, where will you look for it? The Jagat is a manifestation of the cause. And that Jagat Karanam is the cause, the single cause of the whole universe is called differently, by different names. Brahman, one name. Ishvara, another name. Jagat Karanam. Paramatma, Pratyagatma. We have different names from different standpoints. Aksharaha, Avyayaha. From different standpoints, we can give a lot of names. But what are we talking about? One reality. And when it is the maker and the material, anything you see, anything you experience, the experiencer is also that. Because the Jagat includes the experiencer, includes the experienced. Therefore, everything is that one cause. But what is that one cause? You see a pot, you see a flower, you see a book, you see a table, you see the sky, you see stars, you see everything. What is common to all of them? See, if you say, these are all clay, it's easy to see. They're easy to see. What are these now? Huh? Are they two different things or one? Depends on how you count. If you count the form, there are two. Or you can count three too. Right? How many? Three? That's one way of counting. You can count three. But I want you to count the gold. How many? One. Right? You count how many? Two. Could be. Three. Four. If you don't know it is clay, there are four. If you know it is clay, you can still choose to count the forms. That's your choice. But I ask you, in reality, how many are there? Reality means what? This should have, what is its reality? Clay. Why do you say its reality is clay? It should not be a cliched statement, okay? Vedanta sometimes makes you know what's the answer. We should shake that up a little. Why is it only clay? Because the touch of the pot is touch of clay. Smell of pot is smell of clay. Right? The weight of the pot, it's a good argument. The weight of the pot is the weight of the clay. So if you say there is a pot other than clay, it must be a weightless pot. It's not so. And with this one example, the Shruti says, any form has no being other than its cause. Any form that you see, anything that you see, is born of something else. And any form you see has no being apart from its cause. Vacharambhanam vikaraha. It is just centered on a word. This could have been called got also instead of pot. Doesn't make a difference. It's just a word. What's its reality? It's just clay. Clay is also just a word. Earth is just a word. Sun is just a word. Moon is just a word. Anything that you can see in the universe, anything you can objectify, including your emotions, are just words. They were not there, they appear and they go. How much time doesn't matter. What is it that doesn't come and go? Because something is being recycled, like this clay is being recycled, gold is being recycled. What is being recycled is the whole universe without changing. That is what we want to know. So, how will you know it? What features can it have? Suppose, just suppose, clay had a particular form. If clay had a particular form. See, in fact, when I say clay, what comes to your head? Lump. That's not correct. This is also clay. But if I say, that's why I said, bring me some clay. Somebody will think you have to go and get a separate lump of clay. It is said in Mahabharata, there was a time when, see, Karna was very well known as a great giver. And these Pandavas used to be sometimes saying, why he is so famous? So then I think our friend Narada set it up sometime. So there is one Brahmana who wants sandalwood. And he goes asking for dry sandalwood. He wants dry sandalwood, not wet. It's rainy season. So he goes to Yudhishthira, Arjuna, all of them say, sandalwood we can give any amount. But dry, we don't have. He goes to Karna. Karna also was give the same response. Then he suddenly says, wait. He has pillars of sandalwood in his house. Beautiful, ornate pillars. And what does he do? Take it. What did he see? He just recognized the sandalwood in those pillars. It takes some thinking, some thinking. But Shruti recognized very well. So it says, when every form, and see, this is what drives our culture. If the whole universe came from one maker material cause, which we call Ishvara, you tell me, where is Ishvara? Everywhere. What is Ishvara better? What is Ishvara? Everything is Ishvara. So you want to worship Ishvara in this? You can. You want to worship Ishvara in this? You can. You want to worship Ishvara here? You can. Somebody recently told me, the marriage is to happen. And then there is one ritual in which the father-in-law to be, the girl's father, the bride's father, has to wash the feet of the groom. And the girl said, why should my father wash his feet? It's not a done deal. Why should he wash? He shouldn't wash. I won't let this happen. And am I something to be given away? Kanya Danam. Am I something to be given away? Am I an article? I won't accept that. See, thinking is that washing the feet is an act of lowliness or appeasing or, groveling. It's not. The washing the feet is recognizing the presence of Ishvara in the son-in-law to be. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Without understanding, I don't want it. They don't understand the spirit of what it's all about. Dhanam is not giving an article. Dhanam, giving is a privilege. Your parents have raised you for so long, have given you food and shelter, and now they are sending you to another family as a gift, as a contributory person to another family, and relationship grows. What is wrong with that? What is marriage for? Is it just so that you can have a companion? Is it all the purpose? Is there something more to it? Shastra doesn't see it as just your medicine for your boredom. It sees marriage as something more than that. See, of course, if one side is playing the role when the other one doesn't, there's a lot of suffering involved. I'm not denying that. But at the same time, I'm saying the culture. It's not just he washes the feet of the groom. You have what is called as Kanya Puja. What do you do there? You have little girls and you have to call them and do arati to them. So Swamiji would say, normally we don't do puja to adult fellows because if you pour, Abhishekam if you do, the fellow might start licking around. He might get too excited. Right? Or he'll say, come on, don't put this. I don't like this. You like Dakshinamurti because he quietly smiles. Whatever you pour on him, he takes. But see the vision. We can worship a tree. We can worship a plant. Tulasi is a representative. Bilwa is a representative. Every plant is Ishvara. Not just cow. Every animal is Ishvara. Ganga you worship. Why do you worship Ganga? Does Ganga hear you? Is it sentient? Govardhana, the mountain, is it sentient? Hey, when you look at Ganga, what makes Ganga flow? What makes Ganga flow? Did your grandfather make Ganga flow or what? How does it flow? Why should it flow thousands of kilometers with great sense of purpose, as though in a rush to just go and meet the ocean? It's given as an example. For what? The river does not relax until it meets its source. You don't relax until you meet your source. You see the beauty of it. Till you find separation, you cannot relax because it is one whole. You know? The man and woman are one whole. That's why there is an intimacy is loved. It's one whole. The two are not separate. Separately, they are not complete. If we appreciate this wholeness, now you look at what the culture is. Do we have one God or many gods? Huh? Do we have one God or many gods? One God? Many gods? I don't know. We neither have one God, nor do we have many gods. We have only God. You understand? You understand the difference? What does one God mean? Monotheism. What does it mean? There is only one God. Therefore, you shall not worship anybody else. Means your God is then somebody else also. God is one more guy. One God and many things. This is not true. Many gods means what? Kids would fight like this. You've seen these comic strips, Phantom, Mandrake and all that, Superman. So, if there is a fight between Phantom and Mandrake, who will win? Who will win? Good. He's a fan of Phantom. But the point is, it's a silly question. Similarly, if there are many gods, who will win? You will have a problem. And they will say, they'll make stories out of this. Swamiji has narrated this story. Apparently, he was traveling in a train. Okay? Our Indian train. Currently, it's not as lively. It used to be more lively earlier. Right? You travel. There is no AC, all closed and all that. Everything is open. You're traveling. So, there's one person sitting there, and he is having a conversation with somebody else. And he says, you have many gods. Right? He wants to show the problem there. So he says, this is what happened. One fellow had some problem. He had an accident. Then he cried out, Krishna, please help me, please help me. Krishna didn't come. Then he said, hey Rama, please come, help me. Before Rama came, he started calling third fellow. Nobody came. Another person had a problem. He said, oh Jesus, Father in heaven, please help me. Immediately he got delivered. Why? Because no confusion. Who are you calling? No confusion. Right? So then Swamiji, Swamiji was a brahmachari apparently at that time. So he looked at Swamiji and said, now let me get you. So he came with the story. Again, same story, So Swamiji said, okay, what about this now? There is one fellow in Bombay who is having an accident. Another fellow is having an accident in Moscow. Third fellow in Sydney. Now, hey, Jesus, come. Who will he go to? Can you go to all three together? For us, we have no problem. See, this is not the right answer. All I'm saying is this kind of logic is all lopsided. We don't have many gods. They say we are pagans. These words are used without understanding what the vision is. When everything is Ishvara, everything is an expression of Ishvara. And that is where your real ecological awareness comes. Now modern days we leave it. But earlier, when we travel on a train, there would be these railway bridges. And if as children we tried to throw some orange peel or something out, parents would say, hey, don't throw. That's river, Mata, don't throw. What do people throw? Coins. And there are people who will go fishing for them in summer. So many trains have passed. Means what is the attitude? River is not just a river. River is Ishvara. Even here you will find those guys. They'll come with a stick, with a big magnet, and they'll keep doing this, looking for coins. In Narmada, in Jabalpur, they would say, Sab, pani mein paisa phenko. Pani mein paisa phenko. You throw, and the fellow will dive to go and pull the coin. Why would you put a coin? Not for the river's sake. Nobody is offering coins to the river. You are offering coins to Ishvara. When you look at Ganga, Gangadhareshvara is there. Whether you call him Gangadhareshvara or you don't call him, you just imagine the flow. What makes it happen? So Ishvara is not something which is just some imagination. What is Ishvara. This is Swamiji's statement. What is Ishvara. You ask in some other culture, what is Ishvara? Where is Ishvara? You have to ask, where is Ishvara? Upar, out there. What is he? Formless fellow. You may meet him if you go to heaven. Because he lives there. Address you have. Where is the address for our Ishvara? Everything is Ishvara. Therefore, there is no address without Ishvara. If this is your vision, and what is Ishvara? All knowledge. Because everything in the universe is the knowledge of Ishvara alone. You don't need a material. There's only knowledge. What you call material is also knowledge. Do you appreciate that? What you call a material, like say this for t-shirt. What's the material? It's fabric. What is fabric? It is cotton, you can say, plus knowledge of this material, how to make this cotton into this. What is cotton? What is cotton? Cotton is the knowledge. From earth, so many things come out. Why cotton should come out? Why in that form? Knowledge. There is silk cotton and plain cotton. Knowledge. Soil, is that knowledge? Without knowledge, nothing comes. Therefore, the whole blessed universe is knowledge. Don't think it's only materials. Why should the flower bloom, a particular flower blooms only at sunrise? Why? Why does water always flow down the gradient? Why do certain things float in the water? Why does light travel at 300,000 kilometers per second? Why? Do you have a reason why? But you are very sure it is consistent. Otherwise, science cannot keep measuring the speed of light. You're very sure it's consistent, and you say there is no cause, doesn't make sense. And you think there's only cause which is some more material, doesn't make sense. Because knowledge always resides in a conscious being. There is no knowledge outside of a conscious being. And therefore, this whole creation, the universe, is the knowledge of a conscious being, who we call Ishvara. And the knowledge is never away from the conscious being. And the entire universe is never away from that being. Therefore, the whole universe is Ishvara, which is all the knowledge of Ishvara. If it is all knowledge, there is nothing lacking there. Which means I can make a mistake about something. But Ishvara, you cannot say, he doesn't know what he did. You don't understand what he did is fine, because you have an idea. Why he made the face like this? He should have put two eyes behind. Would have been nice. You can look front and you can look back. That's your thought. But Bhagavan has his own reasons why he has made this face like this. Any creation is made by the Creator the way he wants it, with his own ideas. Therefore, we say Ishvara is what? Sarvagyaha. Sarvagyaha means what? Sarvam janati. He is all-knowing. All-knowing means all-knowing from the point of birth, sustenance and resolution. It's not just creation. See, after creation you don't know how to manage. What will it be? That's called a Frankenstein, monster. You create something which you can't handle, like AI. You create it, let it loose, and after a while you won't know what it will do to you. Because you're giving it too much. But the AI, whose knowledge is AI? It is the software engineer's knowledge. The possibility of the software engineering came from where? Why does your brain think? Why should your brain think? It's given. Who is the giver? One giver, Ishvara. So you can see the vision is everything is Ishvara. If everything is Ishvara, if it's all knowledge, there cannot be a defect in the creation. There cannot be a defect. Which means you cannot find anything wrong in the creation. But how many things do you find wrong? You see, so many things are not what you want them to be. That is based on your thinking. But given the totality, everything is exactly as it should be. If you understand this, now whenever you see something wrong, what should you see along with it? This is my subjective view into what is. Therefore, to accept what is requires you to step back to see what is Ishvara. This gives you an ability to relatively accept everything there is, with including your resistance to what is. See, even the fact that you resist something, that you are frustrated, that you feel unsure, is this the way, is that the way, is all part of what is. That you are unable to make a clear conclusion. Sometimes you're thinking, this way should I go, should I make this choice or that choice? Is it my choice or is it God's will? You have so many doubts. All these possibilities are also part of the design. Why did he design like that? Your buddhi is not enough to find out why he designed like this. And even if you figured out, you can't change it. What is the right way to live? You don't resist what is. You don't resist what is. What can you change? You find yourself in a situation. What can you change? What can you do? You can respond. You can respond to a situation. There is your freedom. You cannot wish the situation didn't happen. It's there. It's there right now. Why did I come to Vedanta after 65? You can't change it. It's there. Or I came to Vedanta and after 30 years still didn't understand. Why I didn't understand? You can't change that either. You understand? A fact cannot be changed by anybody. This is a leaf, it's a fact. You're wanting it to be a flower doesn't make it a flower. If you can't change a fact, what do you gain by trying to change a fact? Whenever you say, why are you doing like this? Why can't you do differently? What is that? It is trying to change with a fact, change a fact. Because you believe that the fact can be different. You tell a person, I've told this person 25 times, don't do this. Still he does the same. He has got a PhD. What's the use of PhD? He can't understand this one simple statement. He can, but he needs a few more times of telling. How many more? You figure out. Don't say 25 times why he doesn't understand. You don't know how many times he needs. So, if we understand that, then you no longer are frustrated. I have told 25 times. What is the fact right now? Still the old behavior persists. What can you do about it? Do whatever you can. Enjoy the freedom to act. Karmani eva adhikaraha te. Ma phaleshu kadachana. Your freedom lies in your choice to act, your choice to respond. You have no freedom with respect to the outcome of your action. Your freedom is only to the extent that you do what you can. There are too many factors involved other than just your doing something. And the result is given by Ishvara. Ishvara is also called Karma Phala Data. Karma Phala means the result, the outcome of any action. Data means the giver. Karma Phala Data means the one who gives the outcome of the result. And there's a big argument in the commentaries as to saying, unless there is an all-knowing Ishvara, he cannot be Karma Phala Data. There has to be a timeless Ishvara, because the karma you did 10 centuries ago will fructify today. What connects these two seemingly disparate elements in two different times and places? You need supercomputers to just compute when the monsoon will come and go. Or nowadays to compute, how the missiles will fly your way and how do you intercept them. You need so much of computation power. Suppose you have to compute why each of you are here right now in this time, in this place. It requires supercomputer. Because why should you be here? Why not elsewhere? Why now? Why all of you should come together? Why should you suffer me right now? This is not by chance. This is not random. This is not luck. There are too many things that come together. And all of that is really the outcome. The entire Jagat today, in the view of the Shastra, is nothing but the karma phala of all the living beings at this time. Dynamically, it's an equation in countless number of variables with only one solution. So normally, a quadratic equation, you have two variables, two equations, right? If you have as many variables, that many equations you need to solve a problem. Imagine the whole universe. It's infinite variables, all moving, one solution. And that solution is what you call the universe. If you don't understand Ishvara, then you don't know the universe. What you know is only a name. Nama eva. Like the pot. If you don't know clay, What you know is just a name for a form. And unless you understand that one reality, what do you know? You don't know the reality, you know everything else. What do you know? You don't know what counts. You only know what is insignificant, what doesn't matter. So, it's like giving a check. You receive a check rather with so many zeros, but with no digit on the left. How would you like it? You got a huge check. One is missing. It's of no value. So all the things we know is like zeros. You have to add the one. And that one is an understanding of Ishvara. When we say Ishvara is Jagat Karanam, he is, with reference to the world, you call him the Karanam. Alright? With reference to my mother, I am a son. With reference to my brother, I am a brother. With reference to a friend, I am a friend. With reference to my neighbor, I am a neighbor. But what am I without referring to all of them? Don't have an identity which is purely referential. What is the non-referential identity you have? You will find that you will run out of you will not be able to introduce yourself. Because anything you introduce, you will use some referential point. And I will tell you, drop that reference point. Where will you go? You have to let go. And that reality, without referring to anyone, must be standing on its own. And that reality, from that perspective, without any reference, we say it is Satchitananda. Sat is existence. Chit is awareness. Ananda is limitlessness. Are these three attributes? They are not. There's only one thing. There are no attributes. As I started, I somehow dropped the line of thought in between. I was asking you, if gold had a particular form of a bangle, then gold could not exist in this form. When can something exist as all the forms? When it has no form of itself. Is there any other possibility? If it has a form, then you can't reform it. If the form is etched in stone, you can't change it. So, what do all your senses give you? Your eyes, your ears, your nose, touch. What do they all give you? Soft. Is it a form or not? Don't think of form just as visual. Soft is a form. Hard is a form. Rough is a form. Smooth is a form. Slimy is a form. It's all forms. Right? So, all these forms you can feel with your hand. All the colors and, visual forms you can see with your eyes. All the taste forms can be seen by your tongue, recognized by your tongue. With what will you recognize the formless? With what instrument of knowledge will you recognize the formless reality? Give up. Give up trying to recognize it, because it is not one more thing. Every form is that. And you want one form. Trouble. So, then how will you know the formless reality? Yattadadreshyam agrahyam agotramavarnam. That's what Mundaka begins with. Yattadadreshyam agrahyam. that which cannot be seen. Agrahyam cannot be grasped, not with karmendriya. Adreshyam cannot be seen with jnanendriyas. Agotram avarnam. Agotram has no lineage, has no karana, no cause. Avarnam. It cannot be explained with attributes. Achakshushrottram. It's not your senses. Tadapani padam. It's not your karmendriyas. Nityam vibhum sarvagatam susukshmam. Nityam. It is timeless. Your knowing is always in time. How are you going to know the timeless? In time. But it is vibhum. It pervades everything. Vividam bhavati. Therefore, you now have to be able to, this is a form, and while the form is seeing the form, in your understanding, you knock out the form and see what remains. That's the only way to understand what we mean by Swarupa. It's just being. It's just being. That's where the Upanishad wants to take us. But where does it begin? There is a world. And that world has a cause, which is Ishvara. Tadetat satyam. The cause and effect relationship within the world is real. You have to grow in the world enough to be able to see that the world is okay, that the world is acceptable, the world is a manifestation of Ishvara. Only then you have access to seeing what is Swarupa of Ishvara. That's the method. Therefore, we need both growth in terms of antahkaranam, and that is not the final word. Then the growth is in terms of seeing that even that antahkaranam and the world, etc., is just a means to know that whole. That's the growth we are interested in. Okay, so we'll stop here. Om Purnamatav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.